After we left my wife's parents' mission work, known as Mexico Maranatha Mission, we found ourselves on our own as tent-making missionaries living in the town of Cadereyta, Jimenez. Our ministry was called Salt of the Earth Ministries and included medical missions, evangelism, and discipleship. We worked with the tiny local Presbyterian church in town where we had some wonderful friends and experiences. I even had the privilege of preaching on a regular basis there for several years when the church was without a pastor. Finally, we came to the place in our missionary career that we were ready to join another mission agency. I had just finished nursing school, and we were also ready to turn over the volunteer rescue squad to the city. The time was right, so we applied to a large denominational mission board and went to assessment and orientation. During the assessment phase, we were assigned a mock situation in which we were to develop a plan and strategy for planting a new church with other members of a team. Our idea was to open a cultural ministry center, teaching classes based on local interests such as English, music, and art, then cultivate the contacts generated by sharing the gospel and making disciples. Well, little did we realize that this theoretical plan was what we actually did when we finally got back to the field. The agency we were now with required us to recruit a national church planter to be the pastor, and we would work in a supportive role. So we recruited a Mexican pastor and his wife to plant the church, while we focused on opening the cultural ministry center, which we called the Espacio Cultural. The Espacio became our full-time focus. We rented a house just a few blocks away from our home in town and went to work converting it into educational spaces for each discipline that was taught. We had a language school, a ballet school, a music school and music store, and an art academy. We hired the best teachers to come and teach each course. I taught English and music. A wonderful ballet teacher named Tara Fuentes came and taught dozens of ballerinas of all ages. Benjamin, an amazing art teacher, came and taught all aspects of the visual arts, drawing, painting, and creating amazing works of art. The Espacio Cultural was a very ambitious project, but it took off and was soon buzzing with all kinds of activities and events, from recitals to art exhibitions to stage productions, all showcasing the progress made by all our students. Our church planter opened a nice little coffee shop on site, which became a popular destination for people to hang out, play chess, and just shoot the breeze while enjoying a hot cappuccino. I also had a music store on site where I had customers come in to buy musical instruments and gear. The Espacio was also the site for our youth program called the Otra Onda, which was an amazing youth rec center. We had a basketball court, a climbing wall, ping pong, movies, and all kinds of activities. It was a fun, safe, and cool place for kids to come hang out and also hear the gospel message. Our oldest daughter, Amanda, celebrated her quinceañera at the Espacio. On Sundays, the Espacio was closed for business, but it was open as a place of worship, our church plant, our mission. Our pastor, Aidan, preached great messages to mostly empty chairs. We invited people all the time, but never really had more than 2 or 3 families visit over several years. It was very frustrating and discouraging. Aidan also had a counseling center in his home, which was going well, but likewise did not produce fruit in terms of church growth. Meanwhile, the youth ministry was growing like crazy. So in spite of a successful cultural center in town and a thriving youth group, the plug was pulled on the project because our objective was to plant a church. There were other factors that led to the end of this chapter of our missionary journey, but I'm not going to go there. In retrospect, I see that it was all part of God's plan and purpose for us. By closing this door, He opened other doors that we would otherwise never have gone through. In spite of the failure of the project, it was still a great experience and we learned so much. For that, I will always be grateful. Thank you so much for listening to this true story from Memoirs of Mexico. If you enjoyed this story, or if it was a blessing to you, please feel free to like and subscribe to my channel. That would be a blessing to me. I upload a new true story every day. If you like to read, you can also order Memoirs of Mexico in paperback or ebook on Amazon.com. There's a link in the description. Thanks again for listening.